You don't live in the US anymore?
No.
Where do you live?
I live in Dubai.
And do you miss the US?
No.
You don't?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Like friends?
No, of course I miss some friends. I miss my husband's family. But the culture there has changed. It's really sad. It makes me sad. Of course, I miss the people. I don't love the politics. It's a lie. And that's like the hard thing. So 2003, watching the Iraq war unfold, growing up in America, watching, and I had just moved to Dubai. In 2002, I moved to Dubai. And I was in between debating whether or not I was going to move back to the States because my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, was living there. And so I was like, I want to move back to America for him. And I was kind of in between the two places. And I was watching the news in Dubai on the Iraq war, and I was watching in America. Two different worlds.
Yes.
I couldn't believe. Like, my sister who was living in Dubai didn't know the news I was watching in America. And I didn't know.
You were like, there are WMDs.
Yes. I didn't understand propaganda. And that was the moment where I was like, holy shit. We are being lied to. We're being told stories for the sake of specific agendas. And that was a moment. That was a moment for me because I actually got to live it and experience. I got to live and experience two different worlds.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Zees Political Arrow, where we uncover the truths, expose hidden narratives, and challenge the mainstream media's version of events. Today, we dive into the inspiring yet thought-provoking journey of HUDA Kattan, a billionaire entrepreneur, makeup mogul, and activist who didn't just change the beauty industry, but also broke free from the chains of propaganda to speak out on the pressing global issues. From her personal experiences witnessing the contrasting media narratives during the Iraqi war to becoming a passionate advocate for Palestinian rights, HUDA's story is a testament to the power of awareness and action. Stick around as we explore her journey with Mehdi Hassan as she aligns with the values of seeking truth boldly and unapologetically. Let's jump in.
And it just blew my mind.
So interesting you should say that because all of the polling and studies of people, we know it's become a cliche to say people don't trust the media anymore. They don't trust politicians.
Yeah, of course not.
A lot of that tracks back to 2003. If you look at the graphs, it's the Iraq War, the big lies that George Bush and Tony Blair told about WMDs. Then you have the financial crisis in 2008. And then you keep going. That all this people feel like they've been lied to on multiple occasions. But it does go back to Iraq. I know all the Western politicians want to move on from Iraq, but it was a major rupture. It wasn't just a horrible illegal war that killed people, but as you say, it exposed the propaganda.
See, and that's what people are failing to realize. Like when I learned about Gaza did not happen now. I learned about Palestine and Gaza in 2014. I actually, previous to that, and I know you said we're going to get into that, but before 2014, I actually thought I had been brainwashed because I remember, and this is still something that drives me crazy. Like, I know growing up in America, and don't get me wrong, there's so many things I love about America. I just hate what it's become. I hate what it's become.
What do you think it's become?
I think the lies of what America has been exposed. And if you think about it, it's really crazy, but we've been told to celebrate so many horrible things. It's like there's a horrible thing that happens. Like, I mean, let's take Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving just passed, for instance. It's a horrible thing what they did to Native Americans, and then they put a holiday on it.
That's so true.
It's crazy. Like, this is madness, and this is exactly what's happening now. People are exposing America for what it is. Like, and people who are naive, which I happen to be one of those people who were very naive for so long, our eyes are opened. And you can't unsee it anymore. And so when I learned about Palestine, I learned about in 2014. Previous to that, I thought Israel was the one that was always being attacked. And I went to my husband, who's Portuguese American, always has loved politics. He's a big fan of yours, by the way. Huge fan. He's like, he had to come. He had to come.
We're going to chat after.
Oh my God, he's an amazing man, by the way. A very calm man, very patient man, like always zen. He's that kind of person who just
fits with you perfectly.
I think so. He calms me down, or maybe I spice him up. I don't know. But it's so interesting. I said to him, I was like, Chris, what's happening in Palestine, Israel? And like, I'm really upset. Like, all these people in Gaza are being bombed, but why did they do this to Israel in the first place? That was literally the rhetoric that I had.
Despite being an Arab American.
My parents tried to teach me.
You'd been so, what's the word? Indoctrinated brain.
Totally indoctrinated. Totally. Like, I learned so many very deep stories about the Holocaust, which I think it's important to learn everything, but I never learned about the Nakba.
Yep.
Never heard the word Nakba. Never heard it before in my life. Actually, not until last year. One of my Palestinian employees said to me, she was like, I think it's going to be a second Nakba. And I was like, what is that? Never heard of it before. And I have so many friends who are from like Ireland. They're like, we're taught this stuff. And I was like, you're taught it in school? I can't believe it. It's almost like hidden. And so anyways, in 2014, I said to him, I was like, what is happening? And why are Palestinians, why are they bothering Israelis? Why are they doing this? And he was like, no, f that. And he got really upset. And I was like, oh my God, why is my husband getting so upset? And he started
Good issue to get
educating
upset
me.
about. Some people get upset about doing the dishes, the trash. Your husband's like, Palestine.
100%, exactly. That was
good.
exactly his reaction. And he educated me. And after that, I became very passionate. So it's funny what you're saying. Things like this, you know, really do. And I think right now, this moment that happened in 2023, people don't realize it, but we're never going to be able, like the world, Israel specifically, is never going to be able to undo what people see now. What has happened right now for a lot of
It's
people
like
who are
another
outspoken,
Iraq war, and for a lot of people.
it's much worse.
For another generation, much worse.
Much
in terms
worse.
of the propaganda.
What's happening right now for a lot of people started in 2014. So what's going to happen in the next 10 years started last year.
So we're into it now, so let's just get into it.
Let's get into it.
I'm going to come back to other things I want to talk about. Since we're on Gaza,
Yeah.
since October the 7th, 2023, you have spoken out on multiple occasions on this issue. As you say, you came to the topic late. You had been indoctrinated as a child, despite being an Arab American. Your husband educates you in 2014. Your employees are giving you tips. That's all great. A lot of people have the knowledge. Not everyone wants to speak out. What makes you think, you know what? I am running this massive business, this massive global beauty company, this brand. We have deals with Sephora and Boots here in the UK and all sorts of stuff. Do I really want to touch the third rail of American politics? Do I really want to touch this issue that has destroyed people's careers?
I mean, I think I always felt like at one point I was going to have to make a decision. You know, I always felt like that. Like always, as a Muslim, I always felt one day there's going to be a situation where I'm going to have to pick a side. And I knew that.
Interesting.
And so I felt like that was that moment, you know, and I had to pick a side. And I made this comment online where I said something to someone who said like a really like just disgraceful comment about people in Gaza and their situation. They were like, oh, I forget what it was. It was a horrible comment. And I replied back to them and I was like, I don't want your blood money. And that went viral. And then I got ridiculed. I got pulled into a room. And I was just like made to feel
pulled
like,
by who? Who pulls HUDA Kattan into a room?
A lot of people pulled me into a room who were concerned about the comment.
They're like,
they were like, you could have handled this better. And I was like, absolutely not. And they were like, you need to go delete the comment. And I was like, I'm not going to delete it. And
they're like, we're just looking out for you.
A little more harsh than that.
Okay.
A little bit more like, what are you doing? You're going to ruin everything. And we had just gone through this crazy restructuring. We had just spent like, I had removed our CEO in 2021 from the business, got back into the position, spent like the last 2 years rebuilding the business. Was so excited for 2024. I was like, 2024 is going to be the year because we've been like building everything. And I was like, this is the moment we're throwing everything away. And I pulled my husband to the room and I was like, Chris, I was like, this is the moment where I'm sorry, like all the hard work we've done is going to be undone and we're probably going to lose everything. And he said to me, he was like, you know what? We'll rebuild it. And I was like, that's why I love you. And so he was like, I'm going to support you, be outspoken.
So you both make a conscious decision at that moment that what we do now on this issue could cost us our everything you spent 15 years building up, but we're still going to do it because it matters. That makes you an activist, I think.
I don't know.
You're someone who's literally activism. You're saying, I'm going to speak out. Do you consider yourself an activist? I
mean, it's so funny. I talked to my husband about this. I'm like, I want to be an activist. I consider myself a person who cares about humanity a lot, very much.
But we could call you a philanthropist, right? Like you've given, I've got the numbers here. You gave, mashallah, $1 million to 2 humanitarian organizations in Gaza, Doctors Without Borders and Human Appeal. You and your sister gave money to Lebanese Red Cross. You're clearly a philanthropist, but if you're taking a lot of people, you know this better than me, a lot of people in your world, a lot of celebrities, a lot of people in California, they've done the kind of, we want to give money and we care about people, but they won't take a political position on right and wrong. They won't criticize the Israeli government. They won't say the phrase blood money like you have. They won't talk about truth and justice. So do you feel like you're doing that because you want to take a stance, you want to change the world? And if that's the case, that makes you an activist.
In a world where silence often equates to complicity, speaking up against injustice, whether as a Muslim or anyone with a conscience, transcends labels. It's not just activism or philanthropy. It's a divine calling to stand for truth and humanity. HUDA Kattan, a global beauty icon, a billionaire entrepreneur, exemplifies this courage. Her journey from indoctrination to enlightenment, where she questioned the narratives fed to her about Palestine, resonates deeply. Despite immense pressure from corporate and social circles to conform, HUDA chose to take stand, which takes a lot of courage, risking everything she built over 15 years. Her decision to call out Israel's propaganda, reject blood money, and donate millions to humanitarian organizations in Gaza isn't just philanthropy. It's an act of moral resistance. We salute voices like HUDA's, voices that challenge propaganda, expose lies, and fight for the oppressed, even at great personal cost.
I mean, I would love to be called an activist, to be honest.
You're
I feel
an
like it's an
activist,
honor to be called that. But I just feel like it's my responsibility, you know, like I've built what I've built and I feel like it's all not been given to me. You know, God has given this to me. I have to do good with it, you know? So
what's disturbed you most, if you don't mind me asking? I know you're a mother, I'm a parent as well. I often ask guests this because we can just talk about Gaza in abstract, but and you spend a lot of time on social media, I know this.
Yeah.
How much has seeing those images, what has bothered you most since over the last 14 months, seeing the images coming out of Gaza on Instagram, on social media?
It's hard as a mom, more than anything. Damn it, I don't want to cry.
Sorry.
Do you make people cry on the show?
No.
Okay, good. I don't want to cry. I don't want to be your first guest that cries. I think as a mom, it's the hardest thing. Like you see your children and the children in Gaza. You see your parents and the elderly. You see, you see yourself. I think it's hard not to see yourself in what's happening.
It's awful.
It's awful.
I've never seen, like we talked about the Iraq War. I always thought that the Iraq War would be the worst atrocity of my lifetime.
Yeah.
And it would be the biggest kind of media political
and I wish we had
hypocrisy
social
of my
then.
lifetime.
I wish we had social.
But
So I could have done something
I know,
then.
but Gaza is Iraq war on steroids in many ways, both in terms of the level of killings, both in terms of the media complicity. I mean, the complete and utter abject failure.
Yeah.
Even today, still to say the G word, you cannot say genocide. People will lose their minds. But what else do you call the kind of ongoing mass extermination of people on a daily basis?
It's so crazy because I feel like some people are just so sensitive to some things, but meanwhile they can just get away with whatever they want to get away with. Yeah. And it just doesn't make any sense. And this is the thing, like so many people nowadays, the youth is really what I'm very optimistic about the youth.
Yeah.
You
Were
know,
you inspired by the college campus protests?
Very inspired by that. Yeah. And I mean, you have a daughter, you have 2 daughters. Their eyes are so open, and all of their friends, by the way, are the same. And it's really inspiring. I love to see that. Like children nowadays, they really care about good. They care about how they spend their money.
Yes. Like
they really, really care. And as a businesswoman, that gives me a little bit of hope because sometimes it's hard to do the right thing, but you see that and you're like, I think there's a world where this is going to work, doing the right thing, being actually careful with your business and not being so opportunistic will pay off in the long run.
You know who doesn't always do the right thing, unlike our youth, are a lot of celebrities, a lot of public figures.
Don't even get me started. I'm so over them.
Well, you are over them. And again,
them.
You're someone who is seen as someone who was very well connected when you were coming up, through your business, through your career. You obviously know a lot of famous people. And again, and I have to say this, what I admire about you, having done my homework on you, is that you didn't just say, okay, my business, I'm going to support Palestine, I'm going to give money. You also went online and called out the silence of some of these people. And I think we have a clip.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we're going to play a clip. Let's play the clip.
I'm looking at so many celebrities right now with their platforms and how they're just silent. They're silent. And I'm thinking to myself, their platforms, their popularity is for their own vanity. It's not for humanity. And if your platform is for your own vanity, I'm sorry. I can't support you.
Did you lose a lot of friends over that clip?
I lost friends before the clip. I cut them off.
You had a falling out with Eva Longoria, I believe, who was a friend of yours.
Yeah.
Oh, on this issue?
Mm-hmm. I actually haven't said it out loud, but yeah, I was really upset with her.
Why?
Yeah. Because she's supposed to be a humanitarian, and when it really came down to it, and I was just learning a lot of things about who she really was. And we had a conversation. And look, she's not the only person who was outspoken for Israel. She took a stance. She wanted to support Israel. Many of my friends did. Many of my friends took a very specific stance. And I had words with them. And I said, look, can you please learn? Like, I also understand you're in Hollywood, but you should be really careful with what you're saying publicly. And most of them were really amazing about it. They were like, you know what, I'm going to go get educated. I'm going to learn. And sometimes we didn't agree on everything, right? But at least they took the stance to promise that they would continue learning.
But not Eva Longoria.
I was disappointed with her.
Can I not watch Desperate Housewives anymore?
You know what? You can, because Brie, there's another girl in there.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. Yeah, she's amazing. And Eve and I were actually friends for 10 years. And she's reached out to me a few times since then.
Marsha Cross, who played Brie Van de Kamp,
Marsha Cross
is amazing.
I actually never saw Desperate Housewives.
We love you, Marsha
Yeah,
Cross.
we love you. Actually never saw Desperate Housewives ever, which I know is crazy.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
You watched it and I
Watched all
didn't?
of it.
Wait a second.
My wife and I
You're
loved
joking,
it.
right?
I'm not joking at all.
You watched
how do you
Desiree-
think, how do you think I just rolled out Brie Vanderkamp, Marsha Cross? Did you see me Google? Came straight from here.
Wow.
Terry Hatcher.
I'm impressed.
Marsha Cross, Eva Longoria, Felicity Huffman, who went to prison for her kids' college stuff.
Oh, wow.
Or did she go to prison? Well, she was convicted for something.
That's really sad.
I mean, it's just celebrities and friends.
Yeah.
You also have the business angle, right? So you got
Yeah.
a change.org petition went out with people trying to get Huda Beauty removed from Sephora because of your advocacy on this petition. What happened between you and Sephora? Sephora have your back?
Yeah, it's really hard to talk about. At the end of the day, I think they didn't know what to do. Like, I will say that. They were kind of like confused on how to handle it.
Do these petitions worry you?
They worry me because, at the end of the day, Sephora is my retailer around the world. They've actually been, I think they don't know how to handle things. At the end of the day, we're still there. We're still there and we're doing very well there. We are, I think, their fastest growing brand globally.
Congratulations.
I think so. I'm almost positive. I mean, they won't ever tell you that, but I think so based on our stats. And that's all because of our amazing community and people who've gone out to support.
Just to be clear so people know, what is your position on, for example, using products that might be associated with the war, with the conflict? Do you have a position on BDS? Have you
Do
taken
you
a
want to
position?
know what my position is? It's pretty harsh.
Okay.
So this is my personal position. Okay. So I will sometimes still buy the products, but I will do it for research because I'm going to knock them off
Okay.
and sell their products. Like, I don't care.
Okay.
So I will never buy a I will never actually support MAC Cosmetics publicly, but I'll buy their products to see maybe I want to rip them off. And I'm sorry, I don't like to do that kind of shit because I'm like, I don't think it's cool when makeup brands rip people off, but I hate them.
When you say rip people off, what does that mean? It means
So
you
I'm
do your
gonna
own
use
better
it.
version.
I might do a better version.
Okay.
I haven't yet because I haven't found anything I liked. But if I do,
But she's coming for you.
but I'm coming for you.
And Jen, I just want to make this clear as well
Yeah.
because I've done my homework. as
I
like to do.
hate them.
You take, and people will say, you know what some people say? They'll say, oh, look at HUDA Kattan. She only cares about Palestine. Why doesn't she care about anything else? But what's interesting is, in the summer of 2020, in the middle of the George Floyd protests, and you were not living in the US then, still in Dubai?
Yeah.
You donated $500,000 to the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund. And you've also said, and I want to quote from you recently, I think companies need to change their approach to situations like Palestine, like Black Lives Matter. Often they're thinking what's in the best decision for the business. When we're speaking about anything political, I'm always thinking about as a human
Of course.
first.
Of course.
You say, of course, but a lot of people don't say this, Huda.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're saying it, but I've interviewed people who would never say this.
I think that businesses think too much with their wallets, and I understand. Like, I totally get it. I meet so many other, business founders, people within the space. They're always they're so careful about what they're going to say. And I get it. Like, I'm a risk to my business. I am. I totally am. But like, also at the same time.
But then would you say that to another CEO or business leader who comes to you? Let's say someone comes to you and says, Huda, like you, I run this huge $1 billion business. I want to speak out like you are, but I'm worried.
Yeah.
What would you say to them? Would you say, oh, well, you're going to be a risk? That's not really going to encourage them to come
No,
forward.
no.
Like, what would you say to them? What advice would you give
I
a
would
fellow?
say at the end of the day, and this is what I've told people.
Worry about your akhirat.
Worry about your akhira for sure. But more than anything, I've been publicly outspoken about Palestine for a long time. I've had people in Israel burn my pallets, like horribly. Like, we had this huge movement a couple years ago, I want to say 3-4 years ago, where people were like absolutely boycotting us, burning our pallets. They didn't want us in Israel. I pulled out of it. We were supposed to launch in Israel. And I was like, you know what? I want to be there for some of the people out there who are not pro genocide, but I just don't. We decided not to be there. And they just were very upset with us.
Yeah. Hopefully they haven't written your name on a rocket like they did for the Hadids.
I mean,
That's what they did. They literally wrote people's names on rockets. It's crazy.
wow.
But you took that stance.
Parents, guardians, and anyone with a shred of humanity scrolling through social media these days feels like an emotional roller coaster. Heartbreak, rage, and heavy dose of helplessness. The sheer power of social media platforms has turned them into global courtroom, exposing atrocities and sparking debates that are reshaping friendships, family dynamics, and even corporate strategies. Gaza has become an epicenter of this digital awakening, with major companies and influencers stumbling to find their moral compass. Sephora doesn't know whether to back bold voices like HUDA Kattan or stick to the same safe side of neutrality, while celebrities sit on their million-follower platforms and defending silence. At this point, their quietness is almost louder than their words. And let's be real, it's not just disappointing, it's complicit. Meanwhile, the youth are leading the charge, proving that caring about humanity and being thoughtful with money isn't a trend, but a necessity. As the world collectively questions who and what they stand for, one thing's clear: social media isn't just exposing the conflict, it's exposing us all. If you found this video thought-provoking, or it made you question the world just a little more, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join our growing community of critical thinkers, because together, we're building a platform for real conversations that matter. Until next time, keep questioning, stay informed, and as always, aim sharp.